Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and back for the second time, a very special guest by way of New York City, currently resides in DeLand, Florida. If you are a local Central Floridian, you know him as Carlos from the Monsters of the Morning, Real Radio 104.1. If you love The Walking Dead, he was Alvaro on The Walking Dead. If you're into Marvel, let's say Hawkeye, he's one of the bros. He is my friend. He is one of my favorite guests, the one, the only, Carlos Alberto Navarro.
Get loud! Get crazy! Oh my gosh, Dustin.
And if you hear that applause, it's because we are back by invitation only to the world's greatest public university, University of Central Florida, my alma mater. We are recording this in front of 70 students from the College of Business. And you know what they told me, Carlos?
What?
Not one of them showed up to see you or me.
What?
It's for a damn grade.
No, I don't believe that.
It's for a grade.
I
But
don't
you know
believe
what? Hey, this is our opportunity to use our energy to flip the script. Next time they'll want to show up just to see the show.
Oh, I'm already seeing them on my Instagram at To The Top Carlos. They've actually followed me because I drop knowledge nuggets all the time, motivational minutes that get in your brain and stick there and help you. And that's what you're here for.
Oh, I
as
love
well,
how
Dustin.
you just slid that in. The way I slide into your DMs is how
Yep.
you slid into, hey, at To The Top
Carlos.
Carlos.
That's what's up, right?
All right.
Yeah,
Hey,
you
is that-
got to be
is
your
that
personal brand manager, baby. You always got to be. If you're not plugging yourself, if you're not promoting yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, trust me, no one else will either.
Very cool. So here's what we're going to do today. This episode is going to be a little bit of me talking to Carlos about what Carlos does for a living, how he got to where he got, and what the audience can learn from Carlos. But specifically, because we have an opportunity to invest in the future of our country, right? These students right here,
Yes.
they
America.
too
Right here.
they too should be able to have their questions answered. So
I
that
agree,
they don't
yeah.
have to listen to two 40-something-year-olds talk at them. I'd rather respond to their questions.
I can talk at
So-
them. I think they need to learn a little thing or two, okay?
All right, so let's start with this. When did you get your first break, and how did you get noticed, or what did you do to get noticed?
17 years old, graduated from high school, TV production background. All I wanted to do was like something in entertainment, and I got an internship. I walked up to the place that was hiring, and I didn't know if they were really hiring. My mom was like, you should go up there. They're hiring kids with TV production experience. Went up there. They said, no, they're not. And I said, hey, I'll mop the floors, man. What do you want me to do? And the guy's like, well, we are looking for an intern. And it was just getting attention, standing out. In life, people are too quick to say, oh, stand in line, act normal. Don't do that. That doesn't work when you're trying to climb, especially entertainment, but any industry. You want to stand out in the right ways. And I stood out, got an internship, and then later on down the road, this big morning show called Russ and Bo and Dirty Jim, they were looking for somebody funny, and I knew that.
You know, these students weren't even born.
I
They
know.
weren't even born.
I know.
What we know as the Monsters of the Morning was once the Monsters of the Midday, which was once the Russ and Bo Show.
That's right. Yeah, it's a long historic show that I've been fortunate to kind of build here in Orlando and abroad. It's been around for a long time, but at the time I was a little meek. I was right out of high school, but I knew I had this little window to kind of show what I could do. And I know we're speaking to business students, so it's a little bit different in the sense of like not entertainment, but you're going to have those moments of business opportunities where somebody above you, a mentor, somebody's going to put it on you. They're going to say like, hey, show me how to do this. There's going to be an opportunity, and you have to rise to the moment and not settle down. Just even talking about it, you're going to see it kind of moving forward in your class. So recognizing that moment, I didn't realize it then, but stepping up in a moment when I was being looked at.
You know, it's interesting. So that's what you did at 17. I have a really good friend of mine. You may remember him because he went to high school for a couple years with us before he dropped out. First name Joey, last name Sullivan. Shout out to Joey. Joey today has a very successful career working as he's like the guy who's so smart. He's who financial advisors go for help, right? That's his job. And there's a company out there who pays him a lot of money to have every designation under the books when it comes to personal finance and financial advisory. But his path was different than the rest of ours. And he went to trade school after he dropped out of high school, got his GED, started doing something with AutoCAD. At age 30, decided he wanted to go back to school. Enrolled University of Florida, got his finance degree. But here's what I love about Joey, and it kind of correlates to what you did. You talk about standing out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm a 30-year-old getting started with a bunch of 22-year-olds. How do I stand out? For him, it was as simple as wearing a bow tie every day. Every day, even though dress code at his first employer maybe was like slacks and a polo. Nope. He was slacks, long sleeve shirt, and a bow tie. Then the second thing he did that correlates to what you just said, he made sure that he headed up one of the company's committees. Maybe it was like a young professional committee. It could have been like being the social chair at this Fortune 500 company because he wanted to stand out. He wanted to put himself in a position that his upper management noticed him, both in what he wore, but also how he was presenting himself. So you did this at 17. You cold called. You walked into the radio station and you said, hey, I'm here looking for a job. And 100%. They're like, we don't have any jobs. You're like, dude, I'm literally willing to clean toilets. Yeah. Like, what do you, we have an internship. And then you parlayed the internship. How long did it take you before you started actually making money? Because when I hear internship, it's like free labor. Right, for the most part?
Yeah, when I was college credit at the time, I was in Valencia film school, and it was about a year. And it was the end of my internship. I could have lied and just stayed on. And literally, they wouldn't have checked the paperwork. This was a time when everything wasn't like being looked at.
We weren't in the digital world.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you had to bring a paper in like once every 3 weeks or something like that. I was like fudging it every week, and there was a point like, oh, you have to. Okay, this is the end of the semester, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna basically say, okay, I'm done, and if they want me, they'll keep me, and I'll give a last hurrah, and that's what I did. I kind of did like this last performance, and they were like, whoa, we want to keep you on, but if I would have just not valued my time, and time is the only real commodity you have. As you get older, you will value it more. Right now, all you have is time, so it doesn't seem that important. But when in the beginning you really start to value your own time and what you're willing to do for it and what you're willing to give to others, that will be when the rubber meets the road. And then they were like, all right, well, we got to pay this guy. Too many times, and that's what happened. I got paid pretty quickly. I was 18 years old on a morning show or midday show, getting paid.
What are you making, like $13 an hour? Do you remember? How low it was?
It was definitely not $13 an hour. It was less than that.
So I can't remember if I prepped this time, but Carlos and I literally met in high school, right? Yeah. He was a year younger than me, but we were both in the same TV production program. He was always that guy. We all had this guy or girl in our school, always had the camera right there at every sporting event. So being friends with Carlos, my benefit is you go to my senior year yearbook, dude, my picture is everywhere because my boy was hooking me up with pictures.
Yep.
But no, I remember you at this point when I can only imagine you were getting paid close to minimum wage, but you're becoming a local celebrity. Yeah. They paid you good to do a remote. A remote's when an advertiser wants you to come out to their place of business and actually like call in and talk about, hey, I'm at Holler Chevrolet today and come down between 1 and 4 and see me. And that's actually how guys like him actually made decent money. But you're a local celebrity, you're young, you're partying, you're meeting celebrities, and your ass goes and gets arrested.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. Like that one song, 21 Savage. A lot. Yeah, no, I was crazy. I had a lot of passion, a lot of energy.
That's what you call it, passion?
Yeah, that's what I realized was this is passion pouring through my veins. Like right now talking to you guys, I'm so excited to share this information because nobody shared it with me. Nobody. Everything I'm saying to you is like I could go back in time and I wish I had that person saying it to me. So I get a lot of energy. I get charged off of you guys. So when I was younger, I didn't know that. I was 18, 19, and I know it's a little different. Imagine like a super famous YouTuber like in the 90s and early 2000s. That's who I was. 18, 19, same age as probably y'all. With unfiltered access to every bar and everything that Orlando could provide. And I had the hottest club night. So I wilded out, to say the least. And I got arrested 3 times for drinking and fighting, because I also was very into martial arts and boxing and a bunch of stuff. So I screwed up my life as bad as you possibly could because of unfiltered energy and misguided passion.
Did it take you the 3rd arrest before they fired you?
No, they still didn't fire me after that.
They still didn't fire. Well, he eventually, I'm going to fast forward, he eventually gets fired from this dream job.
Mm-hmm. But I got fired for wanting to act.
No way.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that?
No, I just assumed that's, you know what happens when you assume things, right? I just assumed, hey, after 3 arrests, these arrests were making like Local 6 News. Like Orlando Sentinel was writing about it. Like y'all can go ahead and get out your pocket computer and Google that shit.
But follow me first on To the Top Carlos.
Yeah. And don't do it now. Do it at like 2 p.m. when we no. And Carlos has an awesome keynote presentation that he gives called Mugshot to Marvel. Yeah. But I was today years old when I learned that you actually were terminated. So because you wanted to continue to flex your creativity, you wanted to follow your passion into acting.
Yeah.
And at the time, the radio station wasn't cool with you doing both.
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
Not at all.
So did they make you choose, or did they choose for you?
They made me, and they chose for me.
Okay.
In a very harsh way.
Because at the time you were taking acting classes, but had you booked some of your like this dude did like Florida lottery commercials.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a campaign. It was me being Kevin. Hey, buy your Florida lottery commercial. It was like a funny thing, but no, that's the crazy part. My participation on the show, there's a saying, it's like if your participation is less than the donation, they'll get your ass out of there, okay? So my participation, my value to the show, and in regards to you guys, your value to the company, if it's of high regard, especially investment bankers and they're going to put up with a load of your bullshit that you look back on and go, why didn't you fire me? They could have, but I was the dude, and I was coupled with somebody else. His name was Daniel, and we were fire on the air, and they wanted us to have our own show, and it was like during the Howard times and all this stuff. But then they were like, "Ooh, they're getting too big for their britches." So they said, one's got to go, and this one wants to act. And I said, "Well, I can do both." No, you can. And one of the hosts of the show, Russ, came over to me as we're about to perform for 4,000 people. They used to come out and watch us perform, and he goes, "Carlos, you'll never do anything bigger than this radio show. You'll never be in a movie. You'll never be on a TV show. This is it. Appreciate it." And I remember looking at him going, "You're so fucking wrong." Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
And years later, when I was driving to New Orleans to do a movie with Jason Statham, I posted on it on Facebook. And I wasn't even thinking about him. I just said, man, there's a lot of people, and I want y'all to remember this and put an affirmation out there, because there's people that are doubting you. They're going against you, family members, friends, that they don't think you're going to succeed in this college. You're not going to get the degree. Mark it down that you will, because I did that day. I said, I will be an actor. I will be on these TV shows. And when I later down the road made a Facebook, passive-aggressive Facebook, posts. Hey, I'm on my second movie. I'm working with Jason Statham. I guess it worked out. I did some bigger things in that radio show. Yeah. Well, the host, the person who said that, I'm in my hotel room in New Orleans, this bougie hotel room. I wake up, and he hadn't called me in 5 years. Hey, man, Carlos, I think you were writing about me on Facebook. And I just want to let you know, I'm sorry, and you were right. You proved me wrong. You have the talent. I was selfish then. Oh, I was like, you're going to get a moment like that if you stay true to yourself. I'm on the radio show with this guy again now. We've been doing the radio show for 7 years together. I trust the guy. He's never turned his back on me. The people you think that you won't ever work with again could be your great friend. And how does that work in business?
Oh, all the time.
All the time.
Especially if anyone goes into like the business side of like construction or land development, just know this, those dudes sue each other for like fun. Literally, you'll have this general contractor who hired this electrical company to do work together, and they sue each other. And then they hire them the next project and the next project. There is something to be said about there's business, or it's just business. Yes, it is just business, and business works best when you can keep that in mind and you never make it personal. You said something that I want you to repeat because I want to try to swipe and adapt it. By the way, that's also what life is all about. Swipe and adapt. Swipe and adapt. Eleanor Roosevelt said it best, where I'm going to butcher the quote.
Just say it like an old lady, though.
Go. I'll leave the acting talents to you, Lois.
No problem. I'm Eleanor Roosevelt.
But it says something about learn from others' mistakes because you won't live long enough to make enough yourself. Ooh, right? So it's like, we want to learn from others. We also want to swipe and adapt, follow the patterns. So I want you to say what you said earlier because I want to try to swipe and adapt it. but it was something along the lines of your input and your output. You're talking about what you're giving in versus what they're getting out. Because there's a lesson that I learned from a very wise businessman that I want to share with this group.
Okay, actually, it's even better because I thought about the full quote. If the frustration outweighs the donation.
Okay.
Because essentially, think of like your favorite teams, right? Man, when they're scoring, that player, back in the day, it used to be a little bit more like they were just that teammate, but man, they're so good. But the second their talent, their donation to the team, the company, the family drops, all of a sudden those frustrations raise through the roof. So, I think that's when you really understand where you're at. Is when somebody first calls you out on stuff. You don't get called out on the good times. You can't count your friends during the good times. You can only count your friends during the bad times. That's in business as well.
So we would call that where I grew up, the juice worth the squeeze. The juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
But what I want to share with the group, and I learned this from one of my very first ever podcast guests. Guy's name is Louis Valsaint. And Louis taught me that you don't have to be an entrepreneur if you can be an intrapreneur, right? So when I heard you saying what you were saying about the frustration of the donation, it's me having a chance to speak to the future generation, entrepreneurs, salesmen, saleswomen, marketeers, etc. It's understanding that you don't have to work for yourself. Not everyone's cut out to work for themselves, but when you work for someone else, you have to take that same entrepreneur mindset and make yourself so valuable to the organization that you force them to put up with your bullshit, right? You force them to give you equity in the company. You force them to give you that raise. That's how you put the golden handcuffs on. It's going in with the intrapreneur mindset, which is I'm not a worker here to do a job. No, I am a owner or a soon-to-be owner. I just don't know how soon is measured. Is soon tomorrow? Is soon in 20 years? The answer is yes. But that intrapreneur mindset. So back on your acting. Yep. Right, we're going to try to stay on pace,
all right,
so that we can then open it up to questions. When you got into acting, what did that look like? Like you didn't just, you maybe did wake up, or you didn't wake up, but at some point you said, "I want to be an actor."
Yeah,
I'm tired of just being a super famous dude in Orlando who has his way about town. I want to be on the screens, not just on the radio.
It was my fascination for movies in general. Wanted to direct, wanted to create something. I wrote a short film, made a short film. It was a comedy. The radio was fun because it was 5 hours of talk, and I was doing characters, so I was acting in a sense. Then an ex-girlfriend said, "Carlos, you need to take this acting class." She was in the acting class. I shouldn't say that. And then I went to the acting class and party. I thought it was fun. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And she's like, "Here, you should do it." So I took it. And I was taking it from the director's standpoint. And in the business sense, you guys think about this. You're going to go to a meeting, you're going to be thinking one thing, and then all of a sudden it's going to switch to another thing. And you have to be quick on your feet. So once I was there, I realized, this is really my strong suit, is being an entertaining people. But I was kind of like, I wasn't taking it serious. And then my acting teacher, God rest her soul, after like the 5th class, where she would ask every time, "Who is taking this seriously? Who wants to be a professional actor?" In a class just like this, the entire class would raise their hand except me. And I would be like there. And she would look at me and she goes, "Why don't you want to do this?" I go, "I don't know. I don't like it." Because I was like partying. I was this, I was that. I was a radio guy. And then after one performance in a class where I just kind of laid it all out, she comes up to me and she's like, she told the other students to get away. And she goes, "Carlos," she put her hands on my shoulder. She goes, "Carlos, you are destined for this. You have to do this. You have to."
So it took one person believing in you.
It took that person.
Yeah.
And before that, it was therapy. It was like a class that I would just go to on Sundays.
Hang out with your girlfriend.
Yeah, she wasn't even in the class. It was just like, and after that, I was like, man, this woman like is begging me to do this. All right. So I signed up to it like I would like a coal miner. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to do this till the day I die. How do I start? Well, I guess I'll start with independent films. So I did all these little independent films. Guess I'll do student films.
Were you getting paid for the independents?
Zero. Nothing. I didn't get paid until my first commercial that I ever booked, which was like years down the road with Derek Jeter. And it was this massive shoot where I tackled him. It all paid off there. I'd actually booked a couple commercials before I got fired. My point was I took a very blue collar approach. And so that like now when I did a Marvel movie and I was on a poster as the bad guy, the bro, hey, all this stuff, I can say, man, I've done everything down the line. There's not one thing you can tell me that, oh, no, I did that for free, did this, did that, because I was obsessed and passionate about it. And I think business is the same thing. If you're going to be the boss, you better know every single job under. If you're the broker, you better know how to run that credit report. You better know how to, do those, anything with mortgages. That's why Dustin can sit there and say this stuff to you guys, because that's how I feel when I'm on a set. I'm like, man, I know this because I lived it for the past 20 years.
So from your first acting class to your first paid gig.
Oh, probably 2 years.
Wow. That's awesome. 2 years.
Yeah.
This is an awesome story, but we've already covered it on a previous episode. So if you all want to hear the story in full and hear Carlos tell it, I'm going to tell you to go to YouTube, pull up our channel. First, subscribe, by the way.
Yeah, come on.
But actually subscribe. Just use the search feature and do Carlos Navarro. But your story about The Walking Dead.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So his character, Alvaro.
Yeah.
His last name is Navarro.
Yeah.
How many times, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to tease it because it's a really freaking awesome story about perseverance. How many times did you audition for The Walking Dead?
13 and a half times.
13 and a half times.
Yeah, I say half. Yeah, half.
And some of those roles were...
They're just random ones, one-offs.
One-offs.
Yeah, one episode, done.
But the role that you landed, how many seasons, how many episodes?
2 seasons, 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking awesome, right?
Yeah.
But it's a life lesson, because whether it's acting, right, or whether it's, getting an accounting degree and wanting to become a CPA, and a CPA you want to go to a controller to CFO, it's like all of these life lessons, they definitely apply.
100%.
Last question for you, then we're opening it up to the audience, okay? Can you give me 2 or 3 lessons you've learned business-wise from your time as a radio personality talent or an actor, whether it's TV or film, that when you look back, you're like, damn, I wish someone had pointed that out to me sooner, because you'd be further along in your career if you understood the business side of things better?
Yes, 100%. Remember this, opportunities are made, not given. What does that mean? I used to think, oh, well, after I book Walking Dead, the door will open. They'll say more. Oh, come on down. No. You have to do things and put yourself out there to create an opportunity. And then somebody else is going to go out and do the same thing. But the door is just not going to, every now and then, once in a blue moon, an opportunity that you think is so great is not going to pan out the way you think it is. You have to go out there and really make opportunities happen. I wish I would have been more find more of a publicist, more of a manager early on. These were business things that I wish I would have had when I hit certain points. And I think the other thing with business is you have to get out of the head of that it's all about you and look at it like a business, like you individually, your personal brand, what you bring to the table, what makes you stand out in a world. I think that's a couple things.
Yeah,
but
no, I like that. And when I hear publicist, when I hear manager, for you all, I'm going to put it into words that makes more sense to people graduating with a degree from the College of Business. It's a mentor. It's a coach. It's paying money for professional development. I mean, the best investment we can make is into ourselves, right? You may have been like, oh, I can get along with my talents, my good looks, and my charm. I don't need to have that person take 10% of my pay, or I don't need to pay this person a retainer of $1,500. But there could have been a massive opportunity cost, because while you're out acting, working the red carpet, doing your thing, they could have been behind the scenes, pimping you out, getting you your next audition, and talking to casting agents about why it's important that you bring Carlos into the fold.
Man,
what I've learned in the business world, I can spend 2 years trying to figure out. Try is the opportune word. I can try to figure it out. where I can spend $15,000 and pay someone else who's already figured it out to give me all the secrets.
That's so damn true.
I would beg, borrow, and steal that 15 grand. I actually wouldn't steal it, and I may go to jail, and I'd be like Carlos, and he's
Hey,
a great guy
path.
and all, but
That was my
I'm trying to leave the mug shots, for another lifetime.
Well-
But no, I would work a second job, right? I would go take a second mortgage on my house if it was that good of an opportunity to surround myself with talented people that can help me get to where I'm trying to go faster.
Yeah, I can genuinely think of this moment. It was the premiere of Hawkeye. We were in Hollywood. I was so excited. I was there with my family. They flew us all out. I'm there with my other buddy who
Did you
played-
get to fly a PJ?
No, I wish
Oh.
that would have been super dope.
That's
I'll
what
say, yeah, I
yeah.
did. Yeah. And the other guy who played the bro, big guy, if you guys watch the show, his name is Alex. He had just hired on a publicist. And as we're walking in, I didn't have a publicist. A publicist is basically somebody who tells your story. That's all it is. An agent is somebody who just handles the business of your acting gig. A manager is somebody who goes out and gets work for you, right?
So
just that-
everyone in this room, based on their degree and some of their interests,
Could
could end up going publicist,
or a manager,
agent,
or agent.
Yeah.
Easily.
Okay.
Easily. So you can all work in the entertainment industry. But as we're walking up to like the Chinese theater or whatever, he's like, man, I got a call from this place. I'm doing the interview that. And I'm walking in. I'm like, oh, damn. I was supposed to have the publicist now. That would have already worked itself out. I'd done a lot of things right. But then I realized, oh, in the business sense, I needed to strike while the iron is hot. Remember that phrase, strike while the iron's hot. I got 5 gigs. Your whatever business you are, the company's hot. Ooh, let's make that jump now because the attention's on me. I missed that little moment there. That's something I learned. Now I got a publicist. She's fantastic. When that next opportunity happens, it'll be that supercharge for the business side of my industry.
Do you have any upcoming projects you can talk about?
Right now, no. SAG was, on strike, and so we just are getting back auditions, which imagine that. So think about that, diversifying your business. That's why I have my radio show. That's why I do motivational speaking. That's my trifecta, and then acting. But guess what? The legs were swept out from under me. 0 auditions this year, guys, because it wasn't when the strike started. They were like, hey, the strike's going to happen. So auditions stopped coming out, and that is a main pillar of my income gone. So imagine in your business to diversify, because if I didn't have, and luckily my personal development, business and brand has really gone great, because I go, okay, as a business person, entrepreneur, I have to focus on this and make this grow. Thankfully, it's worked out.
Awesome. All right, it's y'all's turn. It is time for us to turn the questions over to the students of UCF's College of Business. John in the back actually has this really cool mechanism. It's called the catch box, but it's a speaker that you can speak into.
Dude, that's cool.
And it'll resonate. We have a question up here in the front. We have one to the left. Do not hold anything back. Just trust that we're going to give you the answer whether you like it or not. Fire away. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Koshi Sajodia. I had a quick question since you guys kind of went into how important it is to kind of make a name for yourself, promote yourself. I was wondering if you guys could do a quick demonstration on what an ideal self-pitch would be to a recruiter, a mentor, anybody higher up in the industry you're trying to pitch yourself. Could you show us what that would be?
What a great question.
Well, can I take this at first?
Of course, absolutely.
So I think we all should have an elevator pitch in general. Who are you? What are you looking to do? Why are you important? But I would encourage all of you in today's day and age with what we can do online in terms of our online profile and our online persona. I think it starts before the pitch. I think it starts with you clicking on your intended audience and stalking them, like not in an overly creepy way, but in enough that I want to get to know you way. Follow them, send them a friend request, connect with them on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, don't snap with us because we're not there yet. And TikTok's something we only do when we're drunk. Okay.
true.
So, but you can find me on IG, and unfortunately, you can find me on Facebook. Yeah, go ahead and call me a boomer. But my intended audience tends to be 35 to 54 for the companies I own. Now, my intended audience for the podcast, no, that's 18 to 34. So different demographics, different way of communicating. But what I was getting at is you want to find me, connect with me, engage. How hard is it to like, heart, or comment? And then eventually slide into my DMs. But if you slide into my DMs, don't pitch me there. Slide into my DMs and be like, oh my God, you did an Ironman? How do you find the time while also running a successful business? You could be a total stranger. I have an ego. Stroke that ego, play into that ego, and then eventually, if I'm a human and I'm not an asshole, I'm probably going to ask you something about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're engaged in conversation. It's no different than when your parents or your grandparents went to a networking function. They had to drive somewhere. They had to put on their Sunday best. They had to smile, make eye contact, shake hands, and have small talk. We all can do that in our underwear at 6 a.m. while drinking coffee, started online. And then when you do your pitch, man, that's a very personal thing. And I would never ask you to do my pitch in your voice, just like you shouldn't do your pitch in my voice. And shorter is better. And look for a way that you can connect with me, or look for a way that you can catch my attention. So I know it's probably not a specific like script, but I would write those down. And by the way, get really good with open-ended questions. Open-ended questions force me to engage in you. Ask me something where it's yes, no is the answer. No, and I move on. Ask me a question I have to think about and respond to. You have me engaging. Once I'm engaging, you have a much better chance of getting me to slow down enough to listen to you.
That was all great stuff, man.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. What was your name once again?
It's Cushy.
Kershi? Cool.
Kushi.
KHUS.
Cool. That's
Okay.
a cool name. I think that's a great question, man. I've done a bunch of these Q&As. For sure, being ready to go. Like, I'll use acting just once again because
That's what
obviously
you
guys
do.
are- yeah,
Yes.
no, a lot of time. Hey, man, I want to be an actor. Oh, cool, man. Well, let me see your social media. Why? Are you acting on your social media? Why would I do that? Well, why not start there? That's free. You get it? Well, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, then you're definitely not going to want to do it for an independent film, for a college student that's going to be looking at you going, can you stand over here? Because if you're not going to do it on social media, you're not going to do it in real life. Okay, that's number one. But then the second level. So let's say, hey, I want to be an actor. And they go, yeah, boom. They show me their social media and they're acting. I'm like, hell yeah. You get a little tuku, a little tiki, a little like, oh, I'm paying attention to you now. And then if I go, well, have you been on Actors Access? It's totally free to sign up on there because all the things I'm saying you can Google, right? So, and they go, no, I'm not going to do that. Bye. But if you go, oh, I never thought about that. Thanks for the information. I'm going to go on there. Absolutely. Then you build that little relationship. Here's a very easy thing to get people interested in you. If you're interested in people, they will find you interesting. All you have to do is ask questions. Just what Dustin was saying. That first thing, wow, and make it be exactly like if Patrick Bet-David's a guy that I like on YouTube, and I saw him at a UFC fight. And the first thing I walked up to him, I could have talked about business or whatever, but I knew a specific episode, and he immediately knew I was, and then we were able to talk after that. You know, as opposed to like, big fan, man, you're a billionaire, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? So maybe that was a great question. Hopefully we helped you.
All right, we're going to have some fun. Carlos does voices.
Yes.
Yes. So someone from over here, I want you to give me a voice that he has to answer the next question in.
Oh,
and there
wow.
was a question over here. So you're going to answer this question. I want the voice, the guy in the striped shirt. What voice does he have to answer it in?
Oh, SpongeBob. See, I'm I'm SpongeBob. I'm too old for that. Because that isn't SpongeBob. Isn't he like real squeaky up there? I would have to hear it, but
In the back. We're going to find what he can do.
they're doing Rick and Morty. I can always do Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a guy who's always saying he's the greatest, and it might be the greatest ever. China.
Look, actually, I love doing Obama. So you kids are doing good in here. Good to see you. Good to see you over there. The folks of business over here. The folks of being good and equal. So thank you. And thank you.
Greatest day in Carlos's life was meeting Barack Obama. Look,
Yeah.
actually, probably fourth greatest.
Yeah.
Marrying Meghan,
Yeah, that was
your
one.
two girls being born,
Yeah.
and then meeting Barack Obama.
Yeah. Having dinner with Obama. That was pretty cool.
A question. Yep.
Can you answer this question in a Rick voice, but it's an actual serious question?
In a what voice?
Rick from Rick and Morty.
Oh my gosh, y'all are saying like all the ones I don't know. Isn't he? I can see him once again. I'm gonna do the same damn voice. I don't know it though, man. I don't want to give a bad impression. I don't know that voice, but I'll answer it.
How about as Al Pacino?
Oh, now we're talking
Okay.
here.
All right.
Which Pacino though? Because this is what's that?
Jack of all trades, like good, a little bit good at like a lot of things, or really good at one thing.
Right. You know what's funny? Do you know the full quote of Jack of all trades?
What is it?
Well, I believe it's Jack of all trades is better than none. They never finish it out. It's like the Jack of all. If you look up the quote And they always know I am a jack of all trades. Dustin is a jack of all trades. Very rarely these days can you stay single-minded. People want to ask me about acting. First thing I say is, do you know any software? Adobe, Premiere, I know all of them, because why? As an actor, you got to record your stuff. You got to send your stuff. You got to do your stuff. So you got to be a little bit of jack of trades of tech. You got to be a little bit of jack of trades for acting. You got to be a little bit of jack of trades for business to run your stuff. So no, I am a jack of all trades, but it's all like within the same kind of world. I'm not great at science. I'm not going to do a financial seminar or anything like that. But yeah, I wish I could have known the real quote right offhand, because it would have been like, people were like, whoa, that was cool. But
It's jack of all trades, master of none.
Master of none.
but
Yeah.
keep going.
No, that's all I know.
No. Keep it in your hat right there. Keep going. Better than. Okay. So that was a great question.
Yeah.
Be a jack of all
I have a
trades.
very short answer. Go deep before you go wide. You can go wide, but go deep first. Get really good at something, and then look at adjacent skill sets or adjacent industries, and then start to go wide. I am not going to go write any type of algorithm for the next software. That I cannot be the jack of that trade. If it's sales, if it's marketing, if it's real estate, if it's personal finance, if it's speaking, if it's presenting, if it's teaching, like, I can stay in that lane, but there's certain lanes I can't stay in. But I had to get really good at mortgage before I could launch into real estate investing. I had to get really good at running a business before I could start investing in 13 other businesses, because I wouldn't know what questions to ask. Like, the next investment I'm getting ready to make is into a video game studio. I don't know shit about video games. John Coleman does, Carlos does, my son does, my cousin does. And I definitely reached out to all four of them, but I know a lot about business. So I can ask the business questions. I can utilize my network to get some of the industry expertise and then decide whether or not that's where I want to put my 50 grand or not. But go deep first and then go wide.
Can I add on to that, Dustin, real quick? This was something that I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know why, maybe as it does pertain to business, but I get a lot of people, hey, man, I'm going to move to L.A. I'm going to move to New York. And I'm sure you guys, hey, I'm going to move to L.A., New York, start a business, whatever. And I would say, have you dominated your neighborhood yet? Have you been the best actor on your block yet? No? Why the hell do you think you're going to be the best actor in New York? I was not any of these things. I had to literally, and I would keep asking myself that question. People, why aren't you going to LA? I'm like, I haven't booked anything here. Why would I expect to book something in LA? Until I got to the point where I dominated Florida, where I knew every casting director, and took years. And then it's like, oh, next gradual step. So with that, go deep in your business, dominate your block before thinking you're going to do, international business dealings. Dominate your block, and everything you need to learn, everything I needed to know about the industry was learning it right here, and then it was the same stuff everywhere. So to that deep before you go wide kind of theory.
Awesome. Next question. In the back, yes. He looks like one of the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Like,
Y'all look that up. Your parents used to jam out to them.
Yeah.
Actually, your grandparents did, but it's okay.
Can y'all explain to me how you can find passion and fulfillment in a career if you currently don't have one and you're about to graduate? And can you answer it in a Bo Rap voice?
In a what?
Bo Rap voice. You know who Bo Rap is?
Oh my God, I feel like the oldest person in the world.
I don't know what Bo Rat is.
Borat! Yes, very
Oh.
nice. I can answer that. Yes, you need a G-string and you need to dance and be very nice. Kazakhstan, very good. Yes. Actually, the last speech I just had at the college. My wife says you look very handsome. He was from Kazakhstan. I can answer that question. I'm an expert at passion. Your name again, brother? Evan. You ready? You want to know what passion is? Passion is patience, and patience is passion. There's something that you can't get enough of. I don't know. It could be quirky. It could be unique, but you can't get enough. You keep going back to it. You could be, you love bug collecting. You just love bugs, but you got this accountant side to you. But man, I watch these documentaries about bugs. I could give a shit about bugs, right? But you, Evan, you love bugs. But how is that my passion? I'll tell you how it's your passion. Did you know, Carlos, that the Zimbabwe BB bug actually exerts ink from this? I didn't know that. Put a TikTok on it. Boom. Now we got a TikTok about this bug. Now all of a sudden, Evan is the bug guy on TikTok that focuses on these things. And one went viral because you were funny on it. And then the zoo says, hey, man, we need somebody who has got some material. You got 10,000 followers. You mind coming to the zoo? Yeah, sure, I'll head up. You got a little line sitting there. Evan, we want Evan. That video you made. All of a sudden, you are building through your passion this thing that nobody else cares about. A lot of people care about acting. A lot of people care about business. Your passion is whatever you have the most patience for. People will say their kids are their passion. Why? Because they have the most patience for them. You never learn patience until you have kids. I didn't know what you guys still, unless y'all have some kids, you don't know what patience is until you're staring at a kid that's screaming at you at 2 a.m. You have to be at work. You don't know what's going on with them. You just want to go to bed. There's nothing, but you're like, all right, I better learn some patience. And that's what you have to succeed in your industry, an undeniable moral obligation, if you will, to your passion.
Yeah, two quick comments to add. For me, my passion found me. It took me 20 years to actually put words to what my passion is.
Mm-hmm.
My passion is making money. It really is. But with that, I care how people work. I don't care how cars work. I care how businesses operate. I don't care how machinery operates.
Interesting.
Right? I knew my son was an engineer when he was 4 because I took him to the batting cages. He didn't want to hit balls. He wanted to go behind the machine and see the mechanical aspects of how it worked.
Interesting.
So I knew when he was 4 that was going to be something that he was going to lean into. If you looked at me at 8, I was buying business cards and reselling them. I was holding garage sales because I liked buying shit, reselling it for a profit, even when I was 8 or 10 years old. So I think your passion will find you. And then finally, do you know why I know I love IPAs? Because I drank every other skunk piss beer out there until I finally found one that I liked. My point being, you got to get out and explore. You got to have a sure why not attitude and say yes. Say yes to that meeting. Say yes to that networking function. Say yes to that guy's weekend, even if you think you won't like it, because you never know what you'll find by putting yourself out there. All right, we have time for one more question, and then these guys and girls had to get back to, because you all have to go at 2, I was told. I can hang out. If Carlos can hang out, we can answer questions. We'll just have to wrap up the podcast episode, let you all dismiss, and then whoever wants to stick around, we'll stick around. Sound good? So last question for on air.
So I'm super curious to know about this. Nowadays, I feel like most of what entertainment is very short form. TikTok, Instagram, it's like 15 seconds to make your mark, and then that person's moving on, if not a shorter period of time. So how do you cut through noise that is so voluminous like it is on TikTok? Everyone's loud, everyone's flashy. How do I cut through that now?
Great question.
First of all, voluminous, volume,
love
lots
volume.
of volume. I love that
He's
word.
right, though. Everything is in your face, yeah.
Be more specific.
Sure.
Marketing, music for people that I work with is essentially the business that I want to go into.
You want to market the music or you make the music?
I do both, actually.
Oh, cool. See, I knew that was it. See.
And I market those
Oh.
meet with those instrumentals.
That's really interesting. Well, I think being genuine with your approach is always best. Because imagine, and trust me, some of your favorite TikTokers are doing, and I've met them and interviewed them, and they hate their whatever it is. They're the guy that walks up to the people and hands the $100. Hey, man, you want to do a question? And they've become that person. And maybe they tried it. Oh, it went viral. If you do work, like if you go on my social media, I'm proud of everything I've done. Some I look ridiculous, it's stupid, but it was me. It wasn't like, I wonder what the algorithm will say. That will only get you so far. They've realized TikTok, you can't make money on TikTok, right? That during COVID, everybody was watching TikTok. Everybody's watching little fast form or short form. And then now they've done the numbers. That's why Facebook pulled back from the residuals. That's why Instagram, that's why they've all pulled back. It's long form. So it does have its place, obviously, but be genuine in your approach. And if you create music you're proud of, if you work with people you like, it'll just grow. I promise. But if you try and take a shortcut and go, man, I don't really do hip hop, but it's popping right now. Let me just do this hip hop beat. Then it hits and you're like, oh shit, I don't even like hip hop. And I'm sure you do or whatever. But that starts you on a path of building a infrastructure on non-solid ground. Business, same way. You invest or work with somebody that you're like, oh, they got a lot of money, but I don't really feel what they're saying. I just had that opportunity. I just had an investor with a business that I'm with, and there was another one. And it was like, I want to be genuine. I was like, I want to work with the person that I kind of, and so be genuine with your approach, and you will stand out. Say it again. Voluminous. You ever go be scrolling through and all of a sudden something's dead silent, it catches your attention?
Yeah. And I know we have 30 seconds. Long form is where it's at. Long form, but your short form has to point people to your long form. So we have to do short form in order to promote our long form, but long form is what I'm going to get you, whether it's a fan, whether it's a sale, whether it's some kind of a engagement, like long-term engagement. So I've always looked at it that way, that my craft is my long form. My short form is just another way of promoting and advertising and marketing. And that's when I can have fun, throw shit against the wall to see what sticks. I follow the 80-20 rule. 80% of what is working currently, 20% I flex my creativity, but I'm going to follow patterns because I have found in business and in life, there's patterns to success. I want to follow them. I'm not going to be the person out there who's like, oh, I'm going to be the outlier. No, I don't want to be the outlier. I'll do some outlier stuff to see if I can maybe find something that hits, but it's follow what everyone else is doing on 80%. Get creative, get super geeky, weird for 20%, long form, but the short form just feeds the long form. Awesome. Y'all, UCF College of Business. Give yourselves a round of applause. His name is Carlos Navarro. Carlos, we can find you where?
To the Top Carlos, or go to my website, totopneverstop.com, and you can see everything I'm about.
My name is Dustin Owen. You have just tuned in to an episode of the Loan Officer Podcast. Check us out on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Subscribe, share, give us a 5-star review. That is all the time we have for you today, but we look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.